and we were flying top cover for them. I did not have a wingman with me, and so I'm in tail end Charlie. We're circling the battle area, and I'm back in tail end Charlie. They should have put the seat backwards so you could. You spent most of your time looking behind you. It was a typical day of kind of like cumulus cloud at 5,000 feet. This was 5:45 in the evening, and I saw a group or a gaggle of enemy aircraft, and so I very carefully called the brake, and I made the brake into them. At the time I turned into them, here comes another gaggle in at about 40 degrees off. And I expected to have the squadron behind me. I don't know if they didn't hear me or what happened. I never did get the straight story from my good friends, but anyway, I ended up with all of these doggone German aircraft by myself.
Wow.
And I found out later that the fight actually, the infantry said the fight actually lasted about 6 minutes. And I don't really have that much memory. I remember firing at a number of different targets. I remember seeing what I thought were, I had FW-190s, and then I remember seeing some 109s. And it took me a while later to remember that actually that there were some 109s engaged with us. But we went round and round, and the last thing I recall in a flying condition, I was on the tail of a 190, and on a P-38 you could see your top two guns through the gun sight. And it looked like I had those two guns right around his rudder. So I'm firing at him, and in the corner of my eye I see some 20 millimeters coming up my wing, and he just walked them right up into my reserve and main tank. And the 38, you had your only cool air came in at your left knee. All of a sudden there was like a blowtorch, and things were getting a little serious.
Yeah.
But it blew up right after that. I don't remember leaving the airplane. Next thing I remember, I'm falling looking face up. I lost my helmet and goggles and everything, and I went through a cloud, and so I remember the clouds would have been about 5,000 feet when we were yo-yoing up and down. Came out the bottom of the cloud and decided I better watch the ground. I thought I was over enemy territory. So I rolled over and fell face down until it looked real close and pulled the ripcord.
You had suffered injuries, burns.
I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
But when the chute opened, I got some 20 millimeter. So I thought, well, I'm over enemy territory. And you can't miss 20 millimeter when it's coming at you. And got my 45 out. I had a shoulder holster. Got my 45 out and was trying to charge it, and I didn't know my hands were burned.
Yeah.
And I dropped that damn 45.
Yeah.
The next instance I knew, I came down in the courtyard of a red brick building, and there was a tree in the middle of the courtyard. My chute hung up in the tree, and I yanked to a stop, and I probably was a foot, 6 inches off the ground. And so when I got out of the chute, I don't remember really leaving the building. I don't remember much about that, except when I got outside, I was in a ditch, and it was darker. And I had my 45. I don't know where on earth I got it. But I was going along this kind of a hedge, and I came up on some fellows down in the ditch, and I thought they were German. And I don't know that I wanted to get in a gunfight with them, but within a couple milliseconds probably, I realized that they had net on their helmets. And our infantry guys had net on their helmets. And so I threw my hands up, threw my .45 over my shoulder, and never saw it again. But they picked me up and hauled me back to an aid station, and I ended up in a forward hospital.
I read the soldiers said that you'd shot down 5 airplanes.
I don't know where that came from.
Okay.
I never actually filed a combat report. The infantry reported to my group that the fight lasted 6 minutes. On my 66 file said that I shot down 5 enemy aircraft, which would have had to have come from the infantry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I have vague remembrance of meeting some infantry people, but I don't know where. And I found out more about what happened as they took me into, I was pretty badly burned, and they took me into the American hospital in Paris, and this young second lieutenant comes up to me, an infantry guy. He says, "Hell, I know you." He said, "We picked you up." And so we were together quite a while, and he told me, he said that most of the fight had taken place over a little town called Ellendorf, Germany. And the 1st Infantry Division had moved up the day before and taken Ellendorf, and they couldn't hold it. So they were preparing to pull out that evening and straighten their line, or whatever technical term that they used. Mm-hmm. And I came along, and they picked me up and hauled me back with them. So very interesting young fellow who picked me up. He'd been with the 1st Infantry Division since the North African campaign. He got a Distinguished Service Cross in the Kasserine Pass. He was still a 2nd lieutenant, and I asked him, I said, "Well, boy, don't they ever give you a promotion?" They sent us to the Netley Hospital in England, so we had quite a bit of time together. But I found out while he was still a 2nd lieutenant, we walked into that Netley Hospital. They hauled us into the Netley Hospital, and we weren't there an hour, and this real pretty nurse shows up with his Class A uniform, and he was gone. We didn't see him again for a couple weeks. So I'm sure he made 1st lieutenant numerous times.
Yeah.